All right, today was a very busy day at UNC Chapel Hill. Of course, we had a big-time football game that we, I guess, thought was going to be big time. UNC hosting Clemson. And then, of course, the blue-white scrimmage here at the Smith Center where you see us here. But let's talk about the big football game where UNC and Clemson came in both needing a win, both kind of reeling and not living up to expectations early on in the season. And then it was North Carolina falling flat on their face once again. And one of the things I thought was striking, Pat, is that in the middle of the second quarter, the student section cleared out and they were gone. It's like the ludicrous concert should have been at 1:30 in the afternoon.
I don't think you can really blame them either. Like, I mean, it was 28-3 after the first quarter, and I saw people getting up to go to the stands. I don't know if they were leaving, going to the concessions. Ultimately, it really doesn't matter because Carolina's been sold a bad bill of goods here with Bill Belichick. This clearly is not working. We have no indication that it is going to work this year or ever. Like, one of the big themes of the press conference was, is this a rebuild? And I think that comes from Belichick and Lombardi himself, which was kind of a narrative that was pushed out there this week, but this is going to take a little bit, that they've got a recruiting class coming in, that they need to build this thing up. Build what up? Like, this was fine. They were just stalling out. You know, they just needed to take a step forward. They've taken a massive step backward here, Chris, and it's getting bad from to worse.
One of the things that I tweeted out during the game, I mean, you said it 28-3, which he's used to 28-3. He's been in 28-3s before, but this time he doesn't come back. 28-3 at the end of the first quarter. Clemson had 253 yards at the end of that first quarter with the score of 28-3. But then the thing that was really striking to me is that when it was 21-3, I tweeted out that Clemson at that point had only ran 11 plays and had 207 total yards and 21 points. It was a really bad outing for a defense. And look, here's the thing. If it is going to be a rebuild, that's fine. I expected Carolina to not have a good record. I did not expect them to not be competitive. And you talk about a defensive coach who has two sons on the defensive side of the ball. That's supposed to be where you guys are thriving at. And the defense was absolutely horrid in that first two quarters.
I mean, you didn't even need them to win this game today, right? Like, you just needed to see improvement. Yeah. To your point, competitiveness. In first play from scrimmage for Clemson is a trick play for a touchdown. Okay, that's fine. Like, that's going to happen sometimes. You're going to get out-schemed on that kind of play. They clearly saw something on tape, right, as to how Carolina was biting on certain reads. But it's like the little things, right, Chris? It's the body language of the defensive backs after touchdown after touchdown. It's a sideline that has absolutely no juice. I was talking to a source about, like, kind of the past here, like James Madison. We were talking about James Madison. Like, even in the worst moments under Mac Brown, you know, James Madison, some of the other big losses they had, Georgia Tech as a big favorite, you at least saw some fire on the sidelines from guys like Cedric Gray, Kamen Rucker. Where is the leadership on this team?
Yeah,
I would probably say Jordan Shipp, who wore the Tylee Craft jersey today. Heavy heart there as the team, you know, celebrated his memory. It's been almost exactly a year since his tragic passing. So you're hoping maybe you get some inspired play today from the Tar Heels. You did not get that. You did not get any leadership. And I'm looking at a team right now that appears to be checked out.
Yeah.
And there's a disconnect from what we're seeing versus what we're hearing from Belichick and the players, where in that press conference, they're acting like everything's fine. Or we just have to play better. We have to coach better. We have to fix our mistakes. And I look at Bill Belichick, I'm like, you got to give us more than that, man. You owe us more than that. With how much we were sold, the 33rd NFL team, how much money it took to get you here, and this is the product, you got to give us more than that.
You make a lot of great points right there. And one of the things I think about that you brought up really is just that fire, the difference in what the sidelines look like. Under Mac Brown, those players would have ran through a wall. They would have jumped off a building. It would have done anything for Mac Brown. And you could see the pride in wearing the North Carolina jersey for Mac Brown. Maybe he wasn't as good of a coach situationally. Maybe there are certain things that he could have been a little bit better with over time. But at least you know that his players would come out ready. They'd be prepared. And I'm shocked that we're saying that about a Bill Belichick team. Bill Belichick team isn't ready or prepared to play a football game here.
Bye.
Off of a bye. You're absolutely correct. And here, versus a reeling opponent, this was a really good opportunity for them to really stick it to Clemson, a team that they were close to falling apart as well because they have a 1-3 start to the season. This was more so like their get right game, and now they have momentum. Where does Carolina go from here when you talk about momentum? Is there any type of momentum to be spoken of?
48-14 TCU, 34-9 UCF, and now I believe the final score here 38-10, and that's not even reflective of the result because the touchdown, garbage time for Carolina. Clemson played their backups in the third quarter, got to a third-string quarterback. I believe there's some walk-ons out there. Now, Carolina played some younger players as well, but Clemson could have named a score. Like we talked about James Madison, they could have dropped 70 if they wanted to. The defense was that listless. I mean, where do they go from here, Chris? I think it could get worse, right? Like I've been talking to a lot of sources. I don't even think you need sources to say what I'm hearing right now is that they are a divided team, a dysfunctional team, an unorganized team. This is a mess behind the scenes. Now, they're presenting it in the press conference like everything's fine. But you don't need unnamed sources to tell you that everything is not fine. You need your two eyes. You could see it on the field. You could see it on the sidelines. You could see it in the body language. You feel it from Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're being gaslit. Him talking to you at the press conference like this was like a New England Patriots game and they're going to make the playoffs and this was just a one-off to the Miami Dolphins on a Thursday night football game. This is a disaster. I don't know if they're going to win an ACC game. Like they've got Cal in 2 weeks. Cal is a good football team.
Yeah.
Stanford I haven't really watched much of, but I don't have any faith that they can compete in the ACC at all.
And right now, their only 2 wins is against a Group of 5 team and an FCS team. Like you're right. They may not get anything. And you're looking at teams like Duke and NC State, the local teams, they might really blow them out the water if they don't get everything together. And I hate the legacy type of talk. But one of the things I was thinking about when I was in the press box watching this game is something that probably is on the minds of everybody as you're watching this. His last few years with the Patriots without Tom Brady were not very good at all. And then now he comes to college and you're thinking that maybe he can kind of step back up and it's still not good. So it leaves you to question, without Tom Brady, is this guy a coach at all? And it really makes Tom Brady start looking like that much better of a quarterback. I'm sorry, Tom Brady, for ever doubting you and saying it was the system and it was Bill Belichick, because now Belichick without him just can't seem to get out the blocks, whether it's in the NFL level or in the college level. And this is something that's really striking to me.
I mean, as a Steelers fan, I have to give Bill Belichick his due. He outcoached Mike Tomlin year after year after year in the playoffs. But I think your point remains, and I think it speaks to his age.
Yeah.
Like, there was certainly a time where this guy had a schematic edge. There was a time when he cut corners and some rules to have that edge documented. New York Jets, Deflategate, make what you want about that. We don't need to hash that out. But he has no edge here in college. They have completely dropped the ball on all of this. So I think going forward, if it does go from bad to worse, Steve Mumark, the new athletic director, is in the press conference. Bubba Cunningham is in there. Chancellor Lee Roberts is in there. Jordan Hudson is in there. Doesn't even matter at this point. Like she is the furthest thing of their problems. They have much bigger issues than that. And they're going to have to decide if they want to cut bait on this idea that they're going to build with Bill Belichick at 73 years old. If that's what he wants, if he wants to stay here, because if you're him, he likes coaching, obviously. He's employing his sons. He's employing his friends.
Yeah.
So to him, he's just going to keep cashing these checks, I think, until they're not cashing anymore. So the ball is going to be in UNC's court, whether they want to move on from this, deal with the buyout, admit, they took a big swing. They clearly missed. There's no indication that this is going to get back on track. And if it does, you reassess it at that point in time.
That's the thing I'm wondering is, at what point do you try to cut bait, or do you stay patient because of all the money that you sank into this now? Like, there's so much more money into this program, into Bill Belichick, than what it was under Mac Brown. So do you try to give this a second year, because you're only going to Ireland because of Bill Belichick, right? So do you try to you want to see that through, because you're going to be primetime television week 0 next year versus TCU once again because of Bill Belichick. Is it going to be somebody else on the sideline, or is it going to be Belichick? Because he's the reason why you're going to be there in the first place. There's a lot to consider for Carolina here.
Well, you're going to have some come to Jesus moments with them, and good luck doing that. You ceded all your power to him.
Yeah.
He's doing whatever he wants. He's giving the recruits he brought in here whatever they want. Like, this whole structure of this thing was flawed from the get-go, as far as the amount of power Belichick has, as far as the amount of power that the transfer recruits have that he brought in versus the Mac Brown era recruits. The whole thing on its face is a flawed setup. So if they're going to make this work, they need to talk to him about improving his staff, making some hard change. I mean, he's going to fire his son? The defense?
You got to do what you got to do.
Right? He's going to fire his friend Mike Lombardi, who's making over $1 million to bring this roster in the transfer portal. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, these are the things you're going to have to do if he's going to have to come back.
Well, speaking of coming back, here at North Carolina for the basketball team, I think this is what everybody's now looking forward to now, because football isn't going the way you probably thought. Pat, one of the things I thought was just immediately striking when I looked is that last year at the blue-white scrimmage I was here, the team was noticeably small. This year they come out and it's like, okay, this is a regular basketball team now. So that's good. So what Hubert Davis wanted to do is, as far as getting bigger in the offseason, he absolutely did that. The team absolutely is a lot bigger. I will say, though, that in what they got in height, I feel like they also lost in guard play, because you don't have Ian Jackson, you don't have Drake Powell here, you don't have RJ Davis here, and you don't have Elliot Cadeau here. Those guys were, along with Seth Trimble, I mean, honestly, a really good core of guards. It's just that you couldn't rebound the ball, so it looked bad on those guys. I will say that it feels like the guards are going to have to really try to pick it up, to step up on a level as the big men, because Kyan Evans is a lot smaller than what I thought he'd end up being. Listed as 6'2". Don't know if he's 6'2". And then after that, you have Jonathan Powell. I don't know if he's 6'6". And then you have Jaden Young, who came in, and he looked pretty good today as well. But I don't know if they have quite the same level. It also could be a chemistry thing, because it's early in the season. So I don't want to go too far into what could be the issue for the North Carolina Tar Heels. But I would say that I was a little bit underwhelmed. Maybe I put too high of an expectation on them early on. It's still very early. I could be very wrong. I was a little bit underwhelmed by the guards. But Caleb Wilson is the real deal. He is probably going to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft last year, and he absolutely put all of that on display today.
And it's been a while since UNC's had that caliber of a freshman.
Yeah.
Now, Drake Powell was one and done. Great player, great all-around talent, but didn't have that kind of like game-breaking offensive skill at the time. Didn't have the kind of like vocal leadership and edge that it seems like Caleb Wilson has. Like, the thing that made him go viral, right, was that quote that came out there that they're coming for everybody. Duke, NC State, Wake Forest. And I think if there's one thing these UNC teams have needed under Hubert Davis, it is some edge. Because time and time again, I've been in the Smith Center, Chris, and it doesn't matter who the opponent is, and oftentimes it's an opponent that they should be dominating, and they aren't, because they come out with an entitlement with the name that's on the front of their chest, that assuming that because they're North Carolina, because they're all highly touted, that it's just going to work, and it hasn't. Like, yeah, I mean, they made the Final Four, they made the national championship, but overall, I think the Hubert Davis era has been a little bit of a disappointment. He's not on the quote-unquote hot seat, but this is a big year. There's clearly a big investment. We talked about the football investment. Clearly a big investment made in this year's roster compared to the past. I mean, getting the 7-footer and Henry Vasar. You're getting a, like you said, a potential lottery pick and Caleb Wilson. You get Jaron Stevenson, an Alabama transfer. Kyan Evans, a kid that took Colorado State on a nice run in the tournament. This stuff ain't free. They hire a GM, Jim Tanner. Like, they are giving Hubert everything he needs to succeed. And we are out of the RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, Roy Williams era. Caleb Love, all these guys are gone. And we're going to find out if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because I think it's been looked at as like, oh, maybe those guys are holding Hubert back. Maybe they were propping him up. I don't know. I'm going into this season with eyes wide open, but I think your point about maybe a little red flag in the roster construction is an interesting one. I wasn't at the scrimmage today. I was stuck at football at the press conference with Bill, but this time last year, those roster construction flags were raised, and they ended up being a curse all season long. I'd rather be too big than too small, though.
Yeah. I think the part for me that I noticed is, and again, it's early. They don't have their chemistry yet, but a lot of turnovers when it came down to trying to facilitate a play, facilitate the ball a little bit. That's on the guards, and it was like the ball was just kind of bouncing around. But once it got inside, and once it got to Vasar, once it got to Caleb Wilson, once it got to Jaren Stevenson, once it got to Zayden High, who had a pretty good game, honestly.
Yeah, people forget about him.
He looked really good. Everything seemed to settle out. They're going to be able to clean up on the glass, but can they get the ball to those guys? I think that's going to be the interesting thing. So when you go against a team that's going to press you, like Duke, like NC State, how are you going to look against those teams when your guards are matching up? That's the only thing that I'm necessarily worried about. I do think they take a step up. And another thing I thought about too is if Carolina is just a smidge better this year than what they were last year, I've had some folks that feel like, Hubert Davis needs to get to the Sweet 16 to save his job. The way things are looking over there with football right now, if he's just a smidge better and just sneaks into the field of 68 right now and gets to the second round, it's like, all right, we've got something going around here. And I think I think Bill Belichick has cooled his seat off a little bit, honestly.
I mean, people I think are just so looking forward to a reprieve. Like, I was talking to you about this, talking to my wife about this. I'm like, I'm in a funk right now, man. The football in the triangle is a downer.
In North Carolina.
Include the Carolina Panthers in that conversation. I mean, NC State started so promising, 3-0. Is this team going to be different? They're 3-2. Dave Doran's on the hot seat. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it here, Chris, if we've got to do a Bill Belichick coaching search, a Dave Doran coaching search, followed by a Hubert Davis coaching search. I can't do it.
Don't let Manny Diaz go to a really good bowl game too, because then there'll be another coaching search at Duke too.
But hey, I'll focus on the positive though. One day at a time here. Play like a champion. Basketball season is clearly here in Chapel Hill, and I'm excited for the season on the whole because the collective group here between this year's Duke team, with the Boozer twins and what they brought back and Isaiah Evans. I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic about them and what we've seen. We've both gotten a little look at them. NC State, maybe the talent might not be on the level of UNC and Duke, but
hold on,
the chemistry of Will Wade, man, and what he's cooking, the charisma is not to be reckoned with.
Let me stop you right there because I went to NC State's media day. I'll say this. They may not be the most skilled team, but that is a team that I think from just a little bit that I saw would give this North Carolina team a lot of problems. They're big. They're athletic. I think they play very hard, and they have that thing about them. What you said earlier about the entitlement, I think you can get that at Duke as well. I think when we've seen Duke just get smacked in the mouth, a lot of times they just come out, hey, we're Duke, we're going to win.
Cooper Flagg gave them that edge last year.
Yes.
But some of the previous teams, I agree, did not have it.
Right. And so I think NC State is a team that could absolutely smack some teams in the mouth. I mean, they're led by Trey Holloman, who's the transfer from Michigan State. He's going to bring some edge there as well. He's not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy, but he knows how to play a tough game. And then once you get Darian Williams on the court, he had
Texas Tech transfer, right?
Texas Tech transfer. He had a concussion protocol. He should be good now, but so he should be good to start the season. And then also Allen Breed, and then you have Kadir Copeland, who's going to be talking all kinds of mess on the court. Listen, I think NC State's going to give people some problems right now. They're probably not going to – it's not going to look pretty with NC State, but they're going to give people some problems.
The reckoning is coming. I mean, Will Wade is a force of nature. I mean, I know Wolfpack fans are so excited that they landed this guy, and you should be, because he brings this combination of that charisma, that cult of personality, and marries it with an analytical approach.
Yeah.
Like, this guy gets it.
Yes.
Like Bill Belichick, you don't need to know that he's too old. You just look at Will Wade. Like, the drive that this guy has, what it takes to coach in college today. Like, Will Wade, the chip on that guy's shoulder is massive, and I love it. And it goes to his whole staff. His whole staff is built in his image. You've got all these guys that were overlooked, former managers, not necessarily great players. We can't go with that idea of entitlement. There's zero with that staff, and I think they built the players in that image, but they also built them with analytics in mind, that it was specific skill sets that affect winning, different sizes. So we talk about the roster construction with Carolina. Jim Tanner's brought in. I don't know how much impact that had, I would love to find out more about how they assembled this team, but I know from talking to the NC State staff that they assembled this team with a specific winning vision in mind, and their numbers say they're going to win.
Yeah.
That's why they're so confident. Yeah. They believe it's like baseball to them. Now, basketball is not as predictive of an analytic sport, so we're going to find out. But I mean, my stock, I'm all in on NC State. I don't know if they're going to make the Final Four, but I think they're going to be. I mean, they could. I think they're going to be a very good team, and a team that you're going to want to root for and watch.
They're definitely a tournament team, and possible run in the tournament, possible team to upset your bracket or whatever. But it's going to be interesting to look at all that happening. We're in the triangle, man. It's October. We got hockey starting up, basketball starting up, football's in the thick of it right now. We are in the thick of it, and we just got to get our wins from basketball and hockey right now.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm going to go home. I'm going to shower. And I'm gonna get back out there tomorrow, Chris. We are athletes on our own way, trying to chase all this down. Yeah. So man, it was a fun day. This is awesome. Like, it's a lot of work, but just looking around right now, I know for people who might be listening on the podcast, we were standing in the middle of empty Dean Smith Center after covering a football game and a basketball scrimmage. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Amazing day here in Chapel Hill. Maybe not for the North Carolina Tar Heel football team, but amazing day for us in the sports world. Hey, we're going to have much more. Stay tuned right here on WRALSportsFan.com.